Hi, it's David from Life with Parkinson's. If you're new here, welcome. We hope you'll consider subscribing. Everybody else, thank you for coming back to watch this episode of What Parkinson's Disease Has Taught Me. I had no choice. We will talk about patience, asking for help, and thankfulness. And you're like, Dave, we're going to talk about thankfulness with Parkinson's disease? Yes, we are. We're going to talk about being thankful. And I'll tell you what I'm thankful near the end of the video. And I think you'll definitely want to stick around for that. There's a lot of exciting information to cover in this episode, so let's get right to it. George Bernard Shaw once said, 2 things define you. Your patience when you have nothing, and your attitude when you have everything. When I thought about Shaw's words for a little bit, it really made me think about how we are, like pre-diagnosis versus post-diagnosis. Like pre-diagnosis, we're living our lives and we've got everything. And patience may not seem like a big issue, like it's not something to worry about. But post-diagnosis, it definitely becomes an issue because we just can't do things that we did before. It can really come as a shock, like it definitely did to me. And I know many other people it did as well. Post-diagnosis, everything changes as well as our patience. Personally, Parkinson's has slowed me down quite a bit. Yeah, I'll be out doing something and it's like, it's almost pill time. I can feel my meds wearing off, so I'm hitting a valley. I got to sit down and just sit there until I can walk again. Like Canada, there's no rescue medication. So I just can't do things the way I did before. I just can't go like all out for 12, 14 hours in a day. Oh my goodness, 12, 14 hours in a day now? Yeah, you got to be kidding me. So I've definitely had to learn patience in that I can't push myself like I used to. So there's kind of that pull and push back and forth thing that my brain says, yes, let's go and do it. And body's just like, no, we're not going to go through that. Think of something else to do. The one thing that I started to do though when I'm off is I kind of like think about what I'm going to put in my next episode or what I'm going to put in my next video. So I'm learning patience that way. I'm learning to use my off time as constructively as I can within certain limits. It's just like, I just got to remember what I thought about though, because when I'm off, I can't tap it down into my phone. I've kind of just got to relax and keep it in my mind and try and think of word patterns and stuff so that I remember what I was thinking about. And believe it or not, patience has always been an issue for me. Before Parkinson's, I was a very impatient person. I would want things done now, my way or the highway, and that interfered a lot in my life because I was like the trainer in the garage door company I worked at. I would train a lot of the new people on how to do things, and if they didn't do it right 8 to 10 times after I showed them, I would get very impatient, which, when I think about it, probably wasn't that fair to them. But as I was contemplating this episode yesterday when I was sitting out in the forest, I got to watch the squirrels harvest their nuts from the pine cones and store them in their little bunkers that they build for the winter, which was kind of nice. I never got to really do it. So when you're off, there are things that you can find to enjoy. You just don't know where you're going to find them. Okay, next part of the video, accepting help. Confucius once said, "Be brave enough to ask for help. It is a sign of wisdom." I gotta say, what? That guy sounds nuts. Like, asking for help is something wise. Well, I guess when we're in our position, we really need to do that. When I kind of roll these words over in my mind a few times, I really feel that chronic illness creates vulnerabilities in us. That chronic illness takes things away and leaves us vulnerable. And when I dig a little deeper, I see that asking for help isn't the only thing that it causes us to do. Our independence is affected by our chronic illness. Like me, we don't have a car anymore. So Haley and I are always walking somewhere or getting rides, and that puts us in a really vulnerable position. But because what if the people we're counting on from those rides suddenly say, no, I don't want to drive you anywhere? Like, we got nothing, right? We can't get to where we wanted to go before. And that makes us vulnerable and basically at people's mercies. And thankfully, there are people that want to spend time with us. There are people that want to drive us places, but we would really be like up the creek without a paddle. And after that vulnerability, our strength comes under attack. Our courage comes under attack. Our will to live comes under attack, because if we can't do this like we did before, what makes us think we can do this and still be able to do it? We just can't pick a difficult activity and expect ourselves to do it today. What about the pills? What about the protein? What about the timing? What about my nap? What about my care person and my security blanket that I have around me all the time? Where are they going to be? Right? We just don't know what's going to happen. And we're vulnerable. Everything has changed. And when Confucius says we're being brave by asking for help, I'm like, are you nuts? Don't you know how Parkinson's is tearing me from the inside out? And I don't even know what it's doing to the people around me. It can't be good, right? So asking for help is bravery? Huh. If it is, show me a brave face. I mean, was Confucius just a crazy guy writing crazy things down for us to read hundreds and thousands of years later? A few months before I left the garage door company, which I was a part owner of, I'd gone to do a site check in Whistler from one of our regular customers. And I remember this day because it's really affected me even long after it happened. Like, this was probably almost 6 to 8 years ago, but it's stuck with me ever since. I walked onto the site, and the site supervisor, which I'd gotten to know over the years, loudly announces so everyone can hear, "Here comes the best garage door installer in Whistler." And I was just like, oh my goodness, in a couple of months I'm going to be gone, and I'm probably never going to see you again. Of course, I didn't say that. I just accepted the compliment. But things like that hurt, because that was my identity. That's who I was. That's who I strove to be. I strove to be the best. And I did become the best, but you just don't realize how quickly these things are taken away from you. I just had no choice in the matter, right? It was like the world or something, or some force, I don't know, decided, Dave, you're not going to be the best garage door installer in Whistler anymore. You're going to have to find something new to do. It's hard to get over these things. I understand it's hard to let these things go. But I had to. I really had no choice. So fast forward past all those years to today. I'm at my friend's Trevor's place, and he's the one who gives me a ride. He's my best friend care person. He takes care of me, and a couple nights ago I had to ask him for help to get sorted out in bed. I woke up a couple hours after I fell asleep, and my sleeping pills had fully kicked in. Granted, I did hike 8 to 10 kilometers that day, but I was stuck. Somehow I got stuck in the sleeping bag, and I couldn't unstuck myself. So, yeah, a lot of times we give up our dignity when we do these things, but really, if I hadn't asked for help, I might have rolled onto the floor and not been able to get up. So, yeah, even though I'm really arguing with Confucius on this one, he is right. I concede the argument that asking for help is wisdom, because it would have been crazy not to, because I really actually did need the help. Okay, last part of the video, thankfulness. Willie Nelson once said, "When I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around." I can definitely see where Willie Nelson is coming with this. It's really similar to what Shaw said earlier in the video. Our patience, or our impatience towards our situation, really does define who we are. But, in my opinion, even though we have Parkinson's disease, I still don't think we have nothing. My friend Trevor said yesterday while I was writing this script, being thankful is to release our expectations. And I agree with him on this point. I think it's a really good point to think about. Because in my opinion, when we release our expectations and don't shoot the messenger, I'm only delivering the message, we abandon the idea that we would always live in perfect health. Which I think in a world filled with disease is definitely an unreasonable expectation. Like, where does the idea come from that we're going to live our entire lives in perfect health? I don't know where that idea comes from, but I see it out there. And I lived it as well. I thought I was invulnerable for a long time. I thought, definitely in my 20s, I thought there isn't anything I couldn't do. So perhaps, as Willie Nelson put it, we need to take time to count our blessings that we have in our lives. So today, I'm going to be thankful for, and you guys fill in the blank. Today, I'm going to be thankful for my turn. Today, I'm going to be thankful for Parkinson's disease. Yes, I'm going to be thankful for my Parkinson's disease. So now you're sitting there going, Dave, why the heck would you be thankful for your Parkinson's disease? Because without it, I would never have met all of you. Without it, I would not have this wonderful little corner of the internet on YouTube to connect with you guys. I would never know this life, and I look forward to this all the time, and I love connecting with you guys, and I love sharing my life with you. And Parkinson's disease has given me that unique opportunity to do that. Like, who else gets an opportunity like this? I just don't think it comes around every day. And the point I want to make here, I have no choice but to find something good in it. Because if I don't, I will end up living my life in bitter regret and anger and hate every day that I live with Parkinson's disease. Because if I don't find ways to accept and live with my illness, I risk becoming bitter and angry towards everyone in the world and isolating everyone. And that's something I would never want to do. Really, I've gone from my identity being a garage door installer to my identity of being a fervent YouTuber who loves doing what he does. And in my opinion, if I get a little bit of pushback from this, I'm okay. Push back into comments. In my opinion, if you don't do that in your own life, you risk becoming bitter, resentful, anger, having hatred for your life, and the rest of your days are going to be a miserable mess. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest here. And you can feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but that's what I really foresee, that if you're not able to do that. And that, for me, is something I would never want to put on my own worst enemy. We really have no choice. Thank you for continuing to take this journey together. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with your friends and family. Please leave a comment or a question below. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day. Goodbye.